What happens when a scientist repeatedly time travels to his own past, trapping himself in a loop where he gains complete control over his past, present, and future? This mind-bending tale of a bootstrap paradox will leave you astonished. Let's dive in from the very beginning to uncover how it all unfolds. The story begins in 1968 with Sam, a boy whose mother tragically passed away shortly after his birth. His life became even more isolated when, at the age of 17, his father also died. With no family left, Sam felt utterly alone in the world. However, fate brought a twist when he found a stray cat, which he named Pete, and took it in as his companion. Not long after, Sam's life took a turn for the better when his father's old friend, a professor, took him in and provided him with a new family. The professor, along with his wife and daughter, Rico, gave Sam the familial bond he had longed for. As he settled into his new life, Sam began studying mechanical engineering in college, driven by a deep passion for technology. His adopted father, a brilliant inventor, had a lab in their home where he and Sam's late father had worked on developing advanced robotics. But just as it seemed that Sam's life was finally on track again, disaster struck. The plane carrying Sam's adoptive parents crashed, claiming their lives in an instant. Once again, Sam was left with only Rico, his sister by adoption. Rico's uncle took her away for further education, and Sam was left to navigate life on his own, now with only memories of the family he had lost. Years passed, and by 1995, Sam had grown into a capable and successful engineer. He had become a shareholder in his uncle's company, where he had been instrumental in developing highly advanced robots. However, a crucial problem remained unsolved. Where would the power to operate these robots come from? Driven by this need, Sam embarked on a new challenge, designing a revolutionary plasma battery. This battery, if successful, would eliminate the need to recharge any robot, offering a breakthrough that could change the world of robotics forever. Sam lived in the same house as his beloved cat, Pete, who had been with him through thick and thin. His adopted sister, Rico, frequently visited, as she was the only remaining family member Sam had after the tragic death of their parents. One evening, while the two siblings were talking, a sudden knock on the door interrupted their conversation. Rico answered the door, only to be greeted by a woman Sam had not expected, Rin. Rin was not only Sam's secretary at his company, but also his girlfriend. Rico, however, wasn't thrilled to see her. She always found Rin's demeanor to be overly polished and artificial, and her unease only grew as the two women exchanged pleasantries. Not wanting to engage further, Rico excused herself and left, leaving Sam and Rin alone. With Rico gone, Rin took the opportunity to bring up a delicate topic. She reminded Sam that they were planning to get married soon, and suggested that, in preparation, Sam transfer some of his company shares to her. This would allow her to vote in crucial company decisions, something she felt was important for their future together. Sam, trusting Rin and believing in their relationship, agreed without hesitation, transferring a portion of his shares to her name. However, the next day, Sam's world was rocked when he arrived at the office. Kazuto, his business partner, informed Sam that he intended to sell the newly developed plasma batteries and robots, along with all of their patents, to a larger company. This was a decision that Sam found shocking and deeply troubling. After all, it was his hard work and dedication that had brought these groundbreaking inventions to life, and the thought of letting them go felt like a betrayal of everything he had worked for. As Sam tried to process the news, Rin walked into the room just as the conversation was heating up. She immediately chimed in, suggesting that the shareholders should vote on the decision, which seemed like a reasonable idea. But when it came time for Rin to cast her vote, Sam's heart sank. To his utter disbelief, she voted against him, endorsing Kazuto's plan to sell everything. It all clicked in that moment. Sam realized that Rin had never truly loved him. She had been planted by Kazuto from the very beginning, pretending to be his girlfriend in order to gain access to his shares and undermine him when the time came. After the death of Rico's father, Kazuto had taken full control of the company, and Sam was left utterly stunned. All of his hard work, the robots he had designed alongside his father, and the revolutionary plasma batteries that were still incomplete were now up for sale. The company had decided to sell off all of the patents, and Sam had no say in the matter. Worse still, he would no longer have access to any of the company's equipment. Everything was being removed from his house. In a fit of rage and disbelief, Sam rushed home, hoping to find some trace of the work he had poured his soul into. But by the time he arrived, it was already too late. The company's people had come and taken everything from his lab. Sam's heart shattered as he stood amidst the empty space where his dreams had once lived. He had lost everything: his family, his legacy, and now even even his future. The one person Sam held responsible for his downfall was Rin. She had pretended to love him, gaining his trust and manipulating him into giving her his shares. In his grief and anger, Sam found himself alone, broken, and betrayed. Rico, seeing the devastation in her brother, tried to convince him to take legal action and go to court, but Sam, resigned to his fate, refused. He had willingly transferred his shares to Rin, and now nothing could be undone. He pushed Rico away, unwilling to confront the reality of his situation. Feeling utterly defeated, he turned to alcohol, hoping to numb the pain. As Sam drowned his sorrows in drink, he stumbled upon an advertisement for Cryosleep, where people could enter a state of suspended animation and wake up years in the future. In his desolate state, this idea seemed like the only escape. Sam made a decision. He would go into Cryosleep for 30 years. He would wake up with nothing left but his cat, Pete, the only thing that had remained constant in his life. With Pete by his side, Sam went to the doctor and filled out the paperwork for the Cryosleep procedure. Before he went under, he transferred the last of his shares to Rico, ensuring that she would be the one to inherit what was left. But when the doctor ran a medical test, they found traces of alcohol in Sam's blood. According to the rules, he could not undergo Cryosleep while intoxicated. Sam would have to wait until the alcohol was fully out of his system before he could proceed. As Sam sat in his despair, the doctor told him he would need to wait until the next day. In that time, Sam's thoughts turned to Rin. He wondered if, just maybe, he should talk to her one last time before he entered Cryosleep. Perhaps in his absence, she might reconsider her betrayal. While Sam was dealing with the devastation of losing his company and the betrayal of Rin, his sister Rico decided to take matters into her own hands. Determined to stop the sale of Sam's research and the destruction of his legacy, Rico went to the house of Kazuto, the company's co-partner, to plead with him to postpone the decision. When she arrived, however, she found that Rin was already there. To Rico's horror, she overheard them discussing their devious plan, how they had schemed to take Sam's shares from him and sell off his research, all while becoming incredibly rich from the profits. As if that wasn't enough, Rin casually revealed that she had planted a bomb in Sam's house. The plan was to stage his death as an accident, eliminating him from the equation forever. Hearing this, Rico was horrified. She knew that Sam's life was now in grave danger, and she needed to act quickly. Quietly, she moved upstairs to make a call, desperately trying to warn Sam of the impending threat. But before Rico could get through to Sam, Kazuto noticed her and quickly deduced what she was up to. Fearing that Rico might ruin their plans, he continued to keep an eye on her. Rico, realizing that she had been caught, quickly made an excuse and claimed she had come there merely to find them. She then rushed out, heading straight to Sam's house, hoping to get there in time to save him. Kazuto, realizing that Rico was calling Sam, now saw her as a liability. He couldn't allow Rico to warn Sam, and so he decided to follow her, ensuring that both of them would be silenced. Meanwhile, Sam arrived at Kazuto's house and was devastated to see Rin there, her betrayal weighing heavily on his heart despite already knowing the truth. Sam confronted Rin in anger, hurling accusations at her. He couldn't believe the depth of her deception, and his emotions overwhelmed him. But as the confrontation escalated, Rin suddenly injected Sam with a sedative, knocking him unconscious in an instant. Amid the chaos, Sam's loyal cat, Pete, launched an attack on Rin, clawing at her face in an attempt to protect Sam. Pete then ran off, trying to escape the danger, but Rin quickly pursued, determined to kill him as well. But just as she was about to catch Pete, an unexpected figure appeared. From outside the window, an unknown person reached in, grabbed Pete, and swiftly pulled him away. The mysterious figure took off in a car, disappearing into the night with Sam's beloved cat. Neither Sam nor Rin knew who this person was, and the identity of the mysterious figure would remain a secret for now, setting up a major twist that would unfold later. As Sam was still in his suspended state, unaware of the danger looming over him, Rin discovered the Cryosleep papers Sam had signed. A wicked idea quickly took root in her mind. With a cold, calculating resolve, she decided to force Sam into Cryosleep for a full 30 years, ensuring his escape from the present and leaving him powerless to stop her and Kazuto's plans. Before initiating the procedure, Rin leaned over Sam's unconscious form and whispered the chilling truth. She told him that when he woke up 30 years from now, his sister Rico would be dead. Rico had gone to Sam's house, where the bomb Rin had planted was about to explode, killing her in the process. Meanwhile, Rin and Kazuto would be enjoying the wealth from selling Sam's research and the company's assets, all while Sam remained helpless. With a final, sinister smile, Rin activated the Cryosleep machine, sealing Sam into a deep, suspended slumber. As the machine hummed to life, Sam's world went dark, unaware of the tragedy unfolding in real time. However, as Sam drifted through the decades, the world moved on. And 30 years later, in 2025, Sam finally awoke from cryosleep. The doctor who greeted him informed Sam that he had been in cryosleep for 30 years. Sam's initial shock at the news quickly turned to amazement as he noticed how much the world had changed. Tall, futuristic buildings stretched into the sky, and the streets were alive with technology far beyond anything Sam had known in his time. Confused and disoriented, Sam immediately asked about Pete, his beloved cat. But to his surprise, a robot named Pete entered the room. Sam was baffled, insisting that Pete was his cat, but the doctor explained that there was no cat. The robot, Pete, was designed to assist him, an AI built to resemble his pet. The revelation left Sam both confused and heartbroken, but there was no time to dwell on it. His main concern was finding out if Rico had survived the blast and what had happened to his family's legacy. Pete, the robot, explained that anyone emerging from cryosleep was kept under observation for 5 days. Despite this, Sam's urgency was overwhelming, and he demanded to know what had happened to his company. The doctor informed him that Sam's company had gone bankrupt 30 years ago, and there were no assets left in his name. The only good news Sam received was that Rico kept calling the hospital, asking about him. This news gave Sam some relief. At least his sister was alive. Not willing to wait the full 5 days of observation, Sam decided to leave the hospital the very next day. All he had was his wallet, and he was desperate to find Rico and discover the truth of what had happened in the years he had been asleep. At the hospital's exit, he found there were no taxis available, but Pete, the robot, appeared and informed him that taxis were now booked online. Sam was astonished by this revelation. Everything in the world seemed different, and technology had progressed far beyond anything he could have imagined. To Sam's surprise, Pete explained something even more bizarre. The robot was a creation of Sam's own, a device he had designed for his future self's help. Sam was completely taken aback when he learned that he had created the robot Pete. He had no memory of making it, or even the technology behind it. With Pete by his side, Sam set off to find Rico, hoping to reconnect after all these years. When they arrived at Rico's address, Sam was shocked to find the house in complete disarray, filled with piles of junk. But there was no sign of Rico, only Rin, the same woman who had betrayed him 30 years ago. Rin, now unrecognizable and in poor health, was living in the house with nothing left to her name. Her once pristine appearance had deteriorated due to years of living off junk food. She started to tell Sam everything that had happened after he went into cryosleep. Kazuto, she explained, was killed a year after Sam's sleep by a mysterious man who had reported their company to the police. The man had then taken control of the company, leaving Rin with nothing. She had spent the years locked away in the house, her life in ruins. Rin also confessed that she had been the one to visit the hospital, pretending to be Rico, constantly asking about Sam's whereabouts. But the most heartbreaking revelation came next. Rico had not survived the bomb blast. She had died that very night, along with Sam's dreams of a future with his sister. Sam, devastated, wandered to Rico's grave, overwhelmed with grief. He cried for his sister and for the life he had lost. Confused and with no clear sense of purpose, Sam began searching for answers about the mysterious man who had taken over Kazuto's company. With Pete's help, Sam managed to track down the address of his old company's office. When they arrived, Sam was stunned to see the plasma battery he had been working on 30 years ago. Only now it was complete. He had never finished it, so who had? And who had finished the robot Pete? To uncover the truth, Sam made his way to the company where Pete had been created. Upon entering, he was scanned, and the staff immediately recognized him. They told Sam that their president had been waiting to meet him for many years. Soon, Gota, the CEO, appeared, greeting Sam with excitement and familiarity, as though they knew each other very well. Gota even showed Sam a notebook, revealing that Sam had once signed autographs for him. This baffled Sam further, as he had no memory of meeting Gota, let alone signing anything for him. Gota went on to explain something even more shocking. The robots created by the company, including Pete, had all been designed by Sam. Sam's research on the plasma battery had been completed by someone, but he had no recollection of doing it himself. Gota then revealed that Sam had collaborated on the research with a scientist named Ronald, who was now a successful businessman. But the biggest surprise came when Gota said that Sam would find the answers to all his questions from someone named Professor Toy. According to Gota, Professor Toy had predicted that Sam would eventually come to him. Sam was left speechless, unsure of how any of this was possible. Sam had no idea who Professor Toy was, but he was determined to find answers. Following the address he had been given, Sam arrived at a small building. As soon as he mentioned his name, the professor came rushing out. To Sam's shock, Professor Toy embraced him as if they had known each other for years. This unexpected greeting made it clear that the professor knew Sam from before, though Sam had no recollection of him. Once inside, Professor Toy began to explain everything. He told Sam that he had built a time machine, one that had been under construction since 1995. The twist? The professor had met a future version of Sam back in 1995, who had given him a large sum of money and asked him to build a time machine. The future Sam had promised to come back when it was completed, and now, 30 years later, it was ready. The professor continued, revealing that the mysterious man who had taken control of Kazuto's company and completed all the research on the robots and plasma batteries was none other than Sam himself, only from the future. The events Sam had been experiencing were all part of a loop, one that would continue as long as Sam followed the same pattern. According to the professor, Sam had to travel back to 1995 and ensure that everything unfolded exactly as it had before. If Sam failed to do so, the entire reality would change, and everything he knew could disappear. Sam listened, stunned but beginning to understand. He knew what he had to do. He gathered up as much gold as he could carry, reasoning that he could sell it for the money needed to build the time machine. With Pete, his loyal robot cat, by his side, Sam prepared for the journey. Pete was something Sam had designed in the future, naming it after his beloved cat. Now they were about to travel back in time together. Using the time machine, Sam and Pete arrived in 1995, just 2 days before the night of the explosion. Sam immediately set out to find Ronald, the scientist who had worked with him in the future. Ronald was exactly as Sam remembered, and Sam quickly realized that he had to follow the same course of events as before. He spoke to Ronald, explaining that he needed his support, and Ronald, already familiar with Sam's future self, agreed to help him. Next, Sam needed to gather the funds to build the time machine. He sold all the gold he had brought with him, collecting enough money to make his next move. With the money in hand, Sam went to meet Professor Toy, but the young professor was initially reluctant to talk to him. However, when Sam offered him a large sum of money and explained that the money would be used to build the time machine right away, Professor Toy agreed. He was persuaded by the offer and agreed to start working on the machine immediately. While Sam and Ronald were having a meal at a restaurant, a little boy approached them. The boy, clearly excited, asked for Sam's autograph. As Sam looked at him, it dawned on him that this was no ordinary fan. This boy was none other than Gota, who would go on to become the CEO of a major robotics company in the future. Sam realized that this moment, right here in the restaurant, was part of the very same loop he had experienced, what is known as the bootstrap paradox. Sam was now doing the same thing that would ultimately lead to his future, something he had already seen. Sam, now fully understanding the loop he was in, sat down beside Ronald and began explaining everything. He told Ronald how they could take back the company from Kazuto and Rin, who had taken everything from them. To do this, Ronald needed to become the public face of their efforts and report the company's illegal dealings to the police. Sam shared with him all the secret details he had, and together they formed a plan. Sam also warned Ronald about the danger of his past self being put into cryosleep by Kazuto and Rin that very night. They needed to act fast. The day Sam had been waiting for arrived, the same day he had witnessed at the beginning of his journey. Now, everything made sense and the reason behind those events became clear. As a truck was being loaded with Sam's belongings from his house, Pete, the robot cat, stopped the truck along the way. Pete took all of Sam's things and moved them to Ronald's house, ensuring that Sam could continue his research there. Sam then went to Kazuto's house, where he watched through the window as Rin knocked his past self unconscious. In that moment, Sam knew that the mysterious figure who had taken Pete from the window earlier was none other than his future self. Quickly, Sam opened the window, grabbed Pete, and made his escape. He headed straight for his house where Rico had just arrived. The explosion was about to happen, but Sam, following the plan, managed to get Rico out of the house with Ronald's help. They allowed the explosion to happen as it had before, so Rin and Kazuto would believe Rico was dead and stop looking for her. With that, Sam, Rico, and Pete made their way back to Ronald's house, where Rico would now live safely, away from danger. Everything unfolded as planned. Sam completed his research on the plasma battery and robots, just as he had done in the future. He then formed a company with Ronald, which allowed them to take control of Kazuto and Rin's company, regaining everything they had lost. With their plans now complete, Sam and Rico traveled back to the future, to the year 2025, where they had successfully completed the time loop. They could now live happily, free from the past's troubles. With the story coming to a close, Sam and Rico were finally at peace, their lives set on a path they had shaped. The story of their journey through time ended with a happy resolution. If you enjoyed this incredible tale of time travel and the bootstrap paradox, don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. And make sure to subscribe to the channel for more amazing science fiction and time travel videos. Thank you for watching.
अब आओ ना फिर से, मिल जाओ ना फिर से, जलाओ ना मुझे, मिटाओ ना यूं दिल से। अब आओ ना फिर से, मिल जाओ ना फिर से, जलाओ ना मुझे, मिटाओ ना यूं दिल से। कोई प्यार ना दे यूं जैसे मुझको चाहती है तू, जमाने के जैसी न बन, मेरे यार जैसी है तू। जमाना जलाता मुझे, लगाती गले फिर से तू। मैं गिर के उठा हूँ अभी, हर चीज सिखाती है तू। मैं लिख आया कहानी अपनी जो बीती जिंदगानी, अपनी जो खोया मैंने है वो खोया मैं रात जाग के हूँ रोया। मैं लिख आया कहानी अपनी जो बीती जिंदगानी, अपनी जो खोया मैंने है वो खोया मैं रात जाग के हूँ रोया रोया रोया। ख्वाहिश मेरी रह गई, तुझसे मिलूं मैं कभी, तुझको मैं प्यार दूं और बेशुमार दूं। दिल तो जला है बहुत, इसकी सजा है बहुत, फिर भी तेरा ही रहा, मेरी नहीं मानता। जितना भी चाहूं तुम्हें, मिलना है दर्द मुझे, होता है क्या इस तरह कोई भी इश्क यहाँ। तुम जो मेरी ना बनी, किसको बताता फिरूं ये दाग दिल अपना, किसको दिखाता फिरूं। वक्त बदलता है सबका, तुझको तो इसका पता था, फिर मुंह क्यों मोड़ गई थी, मुझको यूं छोड़ गई थी। साथ निभाना था मैंने, दिल भी जलाना था मैंने, फिर क्यों मेरी ना बनी थी और ये सजा बन गई थी। जिसको मैं जीता रहा था, ये दर्द पीता रहा था। ऐसी निशानी है तू, ऐसी कहानी है तू। मैं लिख आया कहानी अपनी जो बीती जिंदगानी, अपनी जो खोया मैंने है वो खोया मैं रात जाग के हूँ रोया। मैं लिख आया कहानी अपनी जो बीती जिंदगानी, अपनी जो खोया मैंने है वो खोया मैं रात जाग के हूँ रोया रोया रोया। अब इसके पार है तेरा मेरा ठिकाना, अब इसके पार है तेरा मेरा ठिकाना, अब इसके पार है फिर तुझसे दिल लगाना, अब इसके पार है।